Hi everyone, this is Monique, the grad assistant, and this week I am going to present on engaging lesbian, gay, and bisexual students. As we all know from reading the text, we've learned that college is a time for learning more about yourself, experiencing who you are, and for some students, this is when they begin to really um, connect more with their sexuality and figuring out who they are as a person. And so this presentation will go over this, we'll actually go over the 6 themes, which are identity and language, navigating the disclosure of sexual orientation, negotiating campus environments, reframing and redefining relationships and life events, identity intersections, mentors and role models, as well as covering theoretical framework of human rights, intersectionality, and queer theory. When we look at the first theme, which is identity and language, here on this slide, this shows a lot of different identities that students could identify with, such as the ones that we know, lesbian or bisexual, but there's also transgender, and that's people whose gender identity, expression, or behavior is different from those typically associated with their assigned sex at birth, or you have intersexed. A person is born with reproductive or sexual anatomy that doesn't fit the typical female or male definitions. You can also have asexual, which is someone who does not experience sexual attraction. There's queer, which is the umbrella, bisexual. So again, many different identities. But within those different identities, students look at ways to form communities in which they can help group members to make meaning of their experiences as they go through and figure out, again, like I said earlier, who they are as a person. And so, again, when they're redefining their sexuality, they're seeking acceptance on how they should present themselves when they're on campus, when they're at home. There's so many different realms of this experience for the student. And so again, in the book, it states that lesbian, gay may be common and familiar terms and are part of the dominant terminology used in social advocacy circles. However, for some, particularly among Black same-gender loving communities, these are racialized terms reflecting predominantly white middle-class men and women. So again, therefore, while some students may readily respond to and claim an identity as lesbian, gay, or bisexual, other students may prefer instead to be referred to as same-gender loving, queer, people-loving, pansexual, or by their gender expression as femme, stud, aggressive, queen, or butch. Again, the right to name oneself and claim identity should be retained by the members of the community, not imposed by others, especially from a group whose name and identity have been so maligned by others and experts and authorities. Next, we're going to look at navigating the disclosure of sexual orientation. So again, this is what's referred to as the hidden identity. This means that when you're looking at someone, you cannot tell if this person is gay, straight, bisexual, any of those identities. So again, it talks about how coming out is such a deeply personal decision, and it's a continuous process throughout their entire life. So again, as I stated earlier, the text states that the hidden identity is shown as people who are lesbian, gay, or bisexual are not identifiable through their physical features. Earlier models of lesbian and gay identity development characterized coming out, the process of disclosing one's lesbian or gay identities to others as a fundamental component of establishing a healthy and mature sexual identity. Fassinger's model of lesbian, gay, and bisexual identity development describe 2 parallel developmental processes. One which follows the internal development of identity, and the other which traces identifications within the community, which does include disclosing one's sexual orientation. Other researchers have also noted that coming out is a continual evolving process and is often strategically navigated by lesbian, gay, and bisexual individuals. Moreover, people may be out to selective circles of relationships from more intimate relationships outward to families of origin, workplaces, and other social spheres. And then lastly, the text states, Fassinger's research illustrated coming out as a deeply personal decision, and it must be considered throughout their entire life due to societal homophobia and heterosexism. So again, there's so many different obstacles that a person may face or will face, and so again, just always thinking about how they're going to navigate when they're disclosing their sexual orientation. From here, we're going to go on to negotiating campus environments. And so again, when students are looking at their identity and becoming, if they're disclosing it, if they're identifying who they are, if they're butch or stud, queer, now they're looking at, okay, so now I can identify. Next, who do I come out to? They also have to negotiate the campus environment. So this means that you have the campus at large, and every campus across the country is going to be different in the climate, the environment, the openness or the closeness to bisexual, gay, lesbian students, and also just living on campus, whether it's in the res halls or if you're in the classroom or student organizations. Again, every place is going to have a different feel. And so students must learn how to navigate those different areas. And again, it goes back to what's that climate like? What's the institutional legacy, the diversity, the perceptions of climate, the intergroup and intragroup relations, the structures of organization. And again, as it says here, increasing numbers of institutions have revised policies adding domestic partner benefits and implementing housing for lesbian, gay identifying students. So again, actively recruiting and admitting lesbian, gay, and bisexual identifying students. So there are many institutions who are striving to become as inclusive or even more inclusive than in the past. Next, we have reframing and redefining relationships and life events. And so again, every person goes through their rites of passage, whether you're married or you're going on to your career, even how you perceive yourselves or how your family perceives you. And so again, with this, it states that the college experience has a significant impact on establishing identity, especially for traditional age undergraduates, including body image and personal expression through clothes, mannerism, tastes, and habits. And for LGB undergraduates, this may include the need to become comfortable with and affirm their gender expression. Within the LGB community, individuals exhibit gender expressions that may either defy the normative expectations for their biological sex, or they may defy the external societies and LGBT communities' expectations for people who identify as lesbian, gay, or bisexual. So again, redefining who you are and being comfortable in your skin. This then goes into those identity intersections. So again, as it states here, our society is becoming more diverse through people's integration of multiple identities and personas. And so there's so many different intersections, especially between race, gender, and sexuality, where the text states that some recent work has brought to light the need to consider the multiple dimensions of individuals' identities and student development, as well as how they intersect in shaping identity and are experienced across systems of oppression. Particular of race, gender, and sexuality have received attention in recent literature. Patton articulated the experience of 6 gay or bisexual Black men grappling with the intersection of race and identity on a historically Black college campus. And it states here the intersectionality of these Black gay men's identities provide them with the ability to find a safe space with persons from the same race, religion, or gender beyond those in their gay and lesbian community. And so again, findings have stated that LGB undergraduates have found ways to develop their own spirituality and have joined faith communities that affirm their sexuality. Again, young adults are looking at ways to desperately find avenues of spirituality and faith and religion and meaning that coincide with their sexual identity as well. Next are mentors and role models. So as we all know, as we go through college, we're always looking for someone who can help us along, who we can confide in, who may look like us. And so again, for LGB students, they're also doing the same things. And so for any marginalized group, it's always hard to find that mentor or role model. And So the book states that for out and engaged LGB faculty or staff, they may be far and few in between. There's possibly more students in who they can effectively mentor. And so, or they may not be able to really speak due to the institutional culture, may not allow them to disclose their identity. And so, again, it makes it hard. But in spite of um, some of those challenges, the text states that LGBT undergraduates are finding ways and, to live their lives as sexually minoritized group members. So, again, they're finding ways around there. Now we're going to look at the theories and concepts. The first one being human rights, and as you can see on the slide, it states that human rights primarily seeks to end discrimination and injustice towards LGBT populations on campus. And so, again, the framework is that they just want to get rid of that discriminatory policies and practices that adversely affect LGBT students and help revise or change them. However, missing from this framework, similar to the social justice perspective in the disability rights movement, is attention to how individuals make meaning of and frame their identities as LGBT persons and undergraduates. Although LGBT students may be empowered to assume roles as campus and community activists, their needs as developing adults whose first role is to be students may not be nurtured. Next, we have intersectionality, which is grounded in the understanding that identities are not additive and unitary, and multiple identities shape the person's experiences. And so, again, by this, by the actual picture here, it shows all the different pieces. And so you could have two people who look alike on the outside, but because they have all these other pieces behind, will also shape the experience they may have if it comes to identifying, if it comes to disclosing their rites of passage. All these different pieces changes everybody's experience going through the process and going through their life. Some may be more accepted, some may not. So again, it's just good to know that there's just a lot of different layers to the puzzle. And then lastly, we come to queer theory. And queer theory is informed by and evolved from lesbian and gay studies, critical race theory, as well as feminist and post-structural theorizing. And basically it views sexuality, gender, and gender expressions as fluid rather than fixed. And it also states here that this framework also takes into account that one's sexuality is an identity and that gender is bonded, but not synonymous with sexuality. In other words, by positioning queer not as a noun, but as a verb, an ongoing process of identification with or against others, queer theory seeks to open up alternatives to processes of normalization. So I hope that this video has helped to serve as an introduction to the chapter. Of course, there's other readings, but again, this is just an overview of the 6 main frameworks and the 3 theory concepts that go along with Chapter 8 and Week 10's assignments. Again, take your time and review this video as many times as you would need to, and enjoy the rest of the readings. Have a good week.